First alien encounter with humanity's Titan-class warship leaves galaxy speechless. The small alien ship moved through the dark space like a silver needle. Commander HFY sat in his chair, watching the stars through the main window. His blue skin had a tired look after many weeks of patrol duty. The Zephyrian scout fleet had been flying around this area for months, looking for anything strange or dangerous. This was the Kepler Arm, a quiet part of space where nothing important ever happened. Most aliens thought this place was empty, except for some rocks and gas planets. The big alien governments had checked this area long ago and found nothing worth their time. So they sent small patrol ships like HFY's to make sure it stayed quiet. HFY looked at his crew of 12 aliens. They were all bored. Flying around empty space for months was not exciting work. The most interesting thing they had seen was a broken asteroid that looked like it might have metal in it. Even that turned out to be just rock and ice, Commander, said his second officer, Keltar. We are getting a strange reading on the long-range sensors. HFY turned to look at the screen. There was a dot moving slowly through space, still very far away. The computer was trying to figure out what it was, but the numbers kept changing. What do you think it is? HFY asked. Maybe a big asteroid, Keltar said. But it is moving in a straight line. Asteroids don't usually do that. HFY felt a small worry in his stomach. In all his years of flying through space, he had learned that strange things were often dangerous things. But they had a job to do. The fleet command expected them to check on anything unusual. Take us closer, he ordered, but keep our distance.
I want to know what that thing is before we get too close. The scout ship turned toward the strange object.
As they got closer, the readings became even more confusing. The object was huge, much bigger than any asteroid they had ever seen. It was also giving off heat and energy, like it had engines running inside it. Commander, Keltar said, and his voice sounded worried now. This thing is not natural. It's giving off power readings like a small sun. HFY stood up from his chair. He had been a scout commander for 20 years, and he had never seen readings like this. Whatever this thing was, it was bigger than their entire home city, and it was moving with purpose, not just floating through space. Get the other ships in our fleet, he said. I want everyone to see this. Within an hour, all 47 ships in the Zephyrian scout fleet were flying together toward the strange object. As they got closer, their sensors began to work better. What they found made every alien on every ship stop talking and stare. It was not an asteroid. It was not a space station. It was a ship. But calling it a ship was like calling an ocean a puddle. This thing was so big that their entire fleet could fit inside just one small part of it. The ship was dark gray and covered with things that looked like weapons. Huge weapons. Weapons bigger than Zephyrian warships. The hull had strange markings and symbols that their computers could not read. And it was still moving, pushing through space like it owned everything around it. How big is it? HFY asked in a quiet voice. Keltar looked at his instruments and checked them 3 times before answering. Commander, this ship is almost 50 kilometers long. Our biggest warships back home are only 2 kilometers long. HFY felt his heart beating fast. His people had been traveling through space for thousands of years. They knew about all the big civilizations in this part of the galaxy, but no one had ever built anything like this. No one could build something like this. Are there any life signs? He asked. Yes, Commander. Thousands of them, maybe millions. The ship is full of living beings. HFY looked at the massive ship on his screen. Whoever built this thing was not like any alien race he knew about. This was the work of a civilization that thought differently about space and war and power. Send a message to Fleet Command, he said. Tell them we have found something they need to know about. Tell them we have found a ship that could carry an entire civilization to war. As the message traveled through space toward the Zephyrian homeworld, HFY kept watching the huge ship. It moved with the confidence of a predator that had never met anything stronger than itself. The aliens inside this ship, whoever they were, had built something that could probably destroy his entire home planet without much effort. The ship kept moving through space, not caring about the tiny scouts watching it. HFY realized that his people, and probably every other alien civilization, were about to learn that they were not alone in the galaxy. Something was out there that was bigger, stronger, and more dangerous than anything they had ever imagined. He just hoped that whatever was inside that ship was friendly, because if it was not, the entire galaxy was about to change in ways that no one could predict. The great ship continued its journey through the stars, carrying its secrets and its power toward whatever destination its builders had chosen. Behind it, 47 small alien ships followed at a safe distance, their crews trying to understand that everything they thought they knew about the galaxy had just become very, very small. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the Indomitable Will, looking out at the stars through the main viewing window. The bridge was huge, bigger than most alien ships, with dozens of workstations where human officers sat watching screens and checking systems. Sarah was not a tall woman, but she carried herself like someone who had seen many battles and won most of them. Her dark hair was pulled back in a simple style, and her uniform was clean but showed the wear marks of someone who spent her time working, not sitting in meetings. "Captain," said Lieutenant Commander Torres from his position at the sensor station, "we have contacts on the edge of our detection range. Looks like 47 small ships, probably scouts." Sarah walked over to look at the tactical display. The computer showed little dots representing the alien ships. They were tiny compared to the Indomitable Will, like minnows following a whale. "How long have they been watching us?" she asked. "At least 2 hours, maybe longer," Torres replied. "They are keeping their distance, but they are definitely following us." Sarah nodded. She had expected this. The Indomitable Will was humanity's newest and biggest warship, but it was not meant to be a secret. Humans had learned long ago that sometimes the best way to avoid a fight was to make sure everyone knew how badly they would lose if they started one. The ship around her was the result of 300 years of human engineering and warfare. Every system, every weapon, every piece of equipment had been designed by people who understood that space was not a friendly place. Other species might explore the galaxy looking for friends, but humans explored it ready for enemies. "Any attempts at communication?" Sarah asked. "Not yet, Captain. They seem content to just watch and follow." Sarah smiled a little. She remembered her first time seeing an alien ship, back when she was a young officer. The curiosity and fear and excitement all mixed together. These aliens were probably feeling the same thing, except their ship was probably smaller than one of her shuttle bays. "Open a channel to their lead ship," she ordered. "Let's see what they want." The communications officer worked at his station for a few minutes, trying to establish contact with the alien fleet. The translation systems that humans had developed were very advanced, designed to work with any species they might meet. Finally, a face appeared on the main screen. It was clearly not human. The being had blue skin, large black eyes, and a face that was longer and thinner than a human face. It looked scared. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earthship Indomitable Will," Sarah said in a calm, clear voice. "You have been following us for some time. Do you wish to talk?" The alien's mouth opened and closed several times before any words came out. When the translation system finished working, his voice sounded high and worried. "I am Commander Vexhai of the Zephyrian Scout Fleet," the alien said. We were not expecting to find a ship of your size in this region of space. Our records show no civilizations in this area capable of building such vessels." Sarah could hear the fear in his voice, even through the translation system. She understood why. The Indomitable Will was designed to be intimidating. It was 50 kilometers long, covered in weapons and built like a mobile fortress. To someone who had never seen human military technology, it probably looked like something from a nightmare. "We are from a planet called Earth," Sarah said. "We are exploring this region of space. We mean no harm to peaceful travelers." The alien commander looked relieved to hear this, but still very nervous. Sarah could see other alien faces in the background of their ship, all of them staring at the screen with wide eyes. "Captain Chen," Vexhai said, "may I ask how many beings live on your ship?" Sarah thought about this question. The Indomitable Will carried a crew of over 200,000 humans. It was not just a warship. It was a mobile city that could fight wars, build new ships, and support human colonies across many star systems. "About 200,000, she said simply. The alien's face went pale. Sarah realized that his entire fleet probably had fewer people than just her ship's crew. The difference in scale was probably hard for him to understand. "Commander Vexhai," Sarah said, "we are new to this part of the galaxy. Perhaps you could tell us about the civilizations in this region? We would like to know who our neighbors are." The alien commander nodded quickly. "Of course, Captain. There are many species in this region. We are all part of something called the Galactic Council. It is a group that helps different species work together in peace." Sarah listened carefully. A galactic government was exactly what humans had expected to find when they started exploring deep space. The question was whether this government would welcome humans as equals, or whether it would see them as a threat. "We would be interested in learning more about this Galactic Council," Sarah said. "Would it be possible to arrange a meeting?" Vexhai looked like he was trying to think of the right words. "Captain, I think that would be a very good idea. But first I must report this contact to my superiors. A ship like yours, it changes things. The Council will want to know about your people immediately." Sarah understood. The arrival of humanity in galactic politics was going to be a big shock for everyone involved. The aliens had probably never seen anything like human military technology, and they were going to have to decide very quickly whether humans were friends or enemies. "Take all the time you need, Commander," Sarah said. "We will continue on our current course. You are welcome to accompany us if you wish." After the communication ended, Sarah looked around her bridge. Her officers were all listening and watching, ready for whatever came next. These were people whose families had fought in wars on Earth, in the asteroid belt, around Jupiter's moons, and in the deep space between stars. They were ready for anything the galaxy might throw at them. "What do you think, Captain?" Torres asked quietly. Sarah looked back at the tactical display, showing the tiny alien ships still following them through space. "I think we're about to make some new friends," she said. "Or some new enemies. Either way, the galaxy is about to learn that humans are here to stay." The emergency meeting of the Galactic Council began within 6 hours of Commander Vexhai's first report. Representatives from 43 different species appeared as glowing images around the massive circular table on the council station. Each alien looked different from the others, but they all had one thing in common. They looked worried. High Counselor Thranduil, an elderly being with gray skin and 4 arms, called the meeting to order. His species, the Etherians, had been the most powerful civilization in the galaxy for over 1,000 years. Their biggest ships were almost 2 kilometers long and could carry 50,000 crew members. Until today, those ships had been the largest in known space. "We are here because of a report from the Zephyrian scout fleet," Thranduil said in his deep, slow voice. "Commander Vexhai claims to have found a ship 50 kilometers in length, crewed by an unknown species called humans. The Council must decide how to respond to this information." Counselor Zekton of the Mantoid Hives clicked his mandibles loudly. "Impossible," he said. "No species develops such technology without joining the galactic community first. The resource requirements alone would need the combined efforts of multiple star systems. The report has been verified by our long-range sensors," replied Counselor Villana of the Crystalline Confederacy. Her voice rang like music, but it sounded worried. "The energy readings from this ship match what we would expect from a vessel of that size. It is real." Thranduil looked around the table at all the representatives. "If this is true, we are facing something unprecedented. A species that developed advanced space travel technology without our knowledge, and built warships larger than anything in our fleets." At the far end of the table, one representative had remained silent throughout the discussion. High Admiral Thessarian of the Void Hunters was the most feared military commander in the galaxy. His people had conquered 17 star systems using ships that were considered the deadliest in known space. But even their flagship was only 1 kilometer long. "Admiral Thessarian," Thranduil said, "you have been quiet. What are your thoughts on this situation?" The Void Hunter looked up with his cold black eyes. His species was tall and thin with pale skin and no hair. They had evolved on a world with little light, and they preferred to attack their enemies from the darkness of space. "I am thinking about numbers," Thessarian said in his quiet, dangerous voice. "If these humans can build one ship of this size, how many smaller ships do they have? What does their full fleet look like? And most importantly, why have we never seen them before?" The question made all the other counselors uncomfortable. The galaxy was supposed to be mapped and known. All the major civilizations were part of the Galactic Council, and they shared information about new species and technologies. But somehow, an entire civilization had developed in secret and built weapons that made the Council's fleets look like toys. "Perhaps they are peaceful," suggested Counselor Yilmar of the Harmony Collective. "Just because they have big ships does not mean they want to use them for war." Admiral Thessarian laughed, but it was not a happy sound. "Species do not build 50-kilometer warships because they are peaceful. They build them because they are very, very good at war." While the Council argued, their intelligence services were working frantically to learn more about humanity. Spy drones and long-range sensors were pointed toward the area where the indomitable will had been spotted. What they found made the situation much worse. The first intelligence report arrived 2 hours into the council meeting. A nervous young Etherian officer appeared on the screen, holding a datapad with shaking hands. "High Counselor," the officer said. "Our deep space monitoring stations have detected multiple large objects moving through the outer systems. We believe they are more human ships." "How many?" Thranduil asked. "At least 12, sir. All of them appear to be similar in size to the first one we detected." The council chamber went completely silent. 12 ships, each one capable of destroying entire fleets. The mathematics were simple and terrifying. Humanity had enough firepower to conquer half the galaxy. "There is more, sir," the intelligence officer continued. "Our analysis of their ship design suggests that these are military vessels, but they also appear to be self-sufficient. They have manufacturing capabilities, living quarters for large populations, and what appear to be agricultural sections. And these are not just warships. They are mobile civilizations." Admiral Thessarian stood up slowly. His movement was smooth and predatory, like a hunter who had just spotted prey. But for the first time in his career, he looked like he might be the one being hunted. "Council members," he said, "we need to make a decision very quickly. These humans represent either the greatest opportunity for alliance in galactic history or the greatest threat we have ever faced. Either way, we cannot ignore them." Counselor Zekton clicked his mandibles nervously. "What do you recommend, Admiral?" "I recommend that we make contact immediately and offer them full membership in the Galactic Council. Not as junior partners, not as probationary members. Full membership with all the rights and privileges that come with it." "Why?" asked Thranduil. Thessarian looked around the table at all the alien representatives. "Because if we do not make them our allies, they will eventually decide that they do not need us at all. And judging by their ships, they would be right." The vote was unanimous. For the first time in galactic history, a species would be offered immediate full membership in the Galactic Council without going through the normal process of contact, evaluation, and gradual integration. But as the council meeting ended, and the representatives began to plan their approach to humanity, none of them realized the most important thing about humans. They were not looking for membership in someone else's organization. They were looking to build their own empire among the stars. The galaxy was about to learn that humans did not think of space as something to be shared peacefully. They thought of it as something to be claimed, defended, and ruled. And they had built the ships to do exactly that. High Admiral Thessarian looked out at the stars through the council station's main window. Somewhere out there, human ships were moving through space with the confidence of apex predators. For the first time in his long military career, he was not sure his people were at the top of the food chain anymore. The age of human expansion was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same. The intelligence reports kept coming in, and each one made the situation worse for the Galactic Council. 3 days after the first contact with the indomitable will, spy drones and long-range sensors had gathered enough information to paint a picture of humanity that terrified even the most experienced military minds in the galaxy. Counselor, Velana of the Crystalline Confederacy, stood before a huge holographic display showing the intelligence data. Her musical voice was strained as she read the report to the Q. Emergency Council Session. Our Deep Space Monitoring has confirmed the existence of at least 47 human ships of the same class as the first one we encountered, she said. Each ship appears to carry between 100,000 and 300,000 crew members. That means we are looking at a mobile population of over 10 million humans, all of them aboard military vessels. High Counselor Thranduil rubbed his temples with 2 of his 4 hands. The numbers were staggering. Most species in the galaxy had populations in the billions, but they lived on planets and space stations. Humans had put millions of their people aboard warships and sent them out to explore the galaxy. It suggested a level of military organization that no other species had ever achieved. "What about their home territory?" asked Admiral Thessarian. Velana touched the controls and the display changed to show a map of known space. A red area appeared in what had previously been marked as empty territory. "This is where we believe their home systems are located," she said. "Our long-range scans show massive industrial activity, thousands of space stations, and what appear to be orbital shipyards around multiple star systems. But that is not the most concerning part." The display zoomed in on one of the human star systems. What appeared on screen made several council members gasp. This is what we believe to be a human shipyard, Velana continued. It is building something that our computers estimate to be over 100 kilometers long. We do not know what this ship is designed to do, but it appears to be even more heavily armed than the vessels we have already seen. Counselor Zekton's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation among his species. They are building ships that could destroy entire worlds, he said. What kind of species does this? The kind that has never learned to stop fighting, Admiral Thessarian replied quietly. All eyes turned to the Void Hunter Admiral. He had spent the last 3 days studying everything his intelligence services could gather about human technology and behavior. What he had learned had changed his understanding of warfare itself. Explain, Thranduil said. Thessarian stood and walked to the holographic display. With his pale hands, he manipulated the controls to show images of human ships and technology. Look at their ship design, he said. Every surface is covered with weapons. Their engines are built to run constantly for years without maintenance. Their hulls are designed to take massive damage and keep fighting. These are not exploration vessels that happen to have some guns. These are pure warships designed by people who expect to fight and win against any enemy they might meet. He changed the display to show tactical analysis of human ships, but it goes deeper than that. Look at how they organize their fleets. Each ship is designed to operate alone if necessary, but they also work together in ways that suggest centuries of combat experience. Their formations, their communication systems, their weapon placement, everything suggests a species that has been at war for their entire history. With whom? Asked Counselor Yilmar of the Harmony Collective. With themselves, Thessarian replied. Our analysis of their technology suggests that they developed spaceflight while they were still fighting each other on their home world. They took their wars with them when they went to the stars. Every advance in their technology was driven by the need to defeat other humans. The council chamber was silent as the implications sank in. Most species developed spaceflight as a way to explore and find new resources. Some, like the Void Hunters, used it to conquer other species, but humans had apparently used it to continue fighting each other on an interstellar scale. That would explain their ship design, Velana said slowly. If they spent centuries fighting other humans who had the same technology, they would need to build ships that could survive against opponents who knew all their weaknesses. Exactly, Thessarian agreed. And now they have finished their internal wars and turned their attention to the galaxy. We are facing a species that has been perfecting the art of warfare for longer than most of our civilizations have existed. The intelligence officer from 3 days earlier appeared on screen again, looking even more nervous than before. High Counselor, she said. We have new information about human colonies. Our scouts have found evidence of human settlements in at least 20 star systems. But these are not normal colonies, and what do you mean? Thranduil asked. Every human colony appears to be fortified, the officer replied. They have orbital defense platforms, military bases, and what appear to be factories for building weapons and ships. Even their civilian settlements look like they are designed to withstand sieges. Counselor Zekton made a distressed clicking sound. They are not just exploring, he said. They are building an empire. Admiral Thessarian nodded grimly. And they are doing it in a way that no one in the galaxy has seen before. Most empires expand by conquering existing civilizations. Humans are expanding by building new military bases in empty space and connecting them with fleets of mobile cities. The display changed again to show the estimated extent of human territory. It was already larger than some of the smaller member civilizations of the Galactic Council, and the intelligence services believed it was growing rapidly. How long before they make contact with other civilizations? Thranduil asked. At their current rate of expansion, probably within the next few years, Velana replied. And when they do, those civilizations will face the same choice we are facing now. Which is? Asked Yilmar. Admiral Thessarian answered. Join them or fight them. And based on what we have seen of their capabilities, fighting them would be suicide for most species. The council members looked at each other with growing concern. They had spent centuries building a galactic civilization based on cooperation, trade, and peaceful resolution of conflicts. Now they were faced with a species that seemed to view the galaxy as something to be conquered rather than shared. What do you recommend, Admiral? Thranduil asked. Thessarian was quiet for a long moment, staring at the tactical displays showing human ships and territory. 6 months after the first contact between Commander Vexhai and Captain Sarah Chen, the galaxy had changed in ways that no one could have predicted. The Indomitable will now floated in neutral space at the edge of the Galactic Council's territory, serving as humanity's first embassy to the alien civilizations. Captain Chen, now promoted to Admiral, stood in her new diplomatic quarters aboard the massive ship. Through the huge windows, she could see a steady stream of alien vessels arriving and departing. Ships from dozens of different species came to visit the human embassy every day, their crews eager to see the beings who had shaken the foundations of galactic politics. Her aide, Commander Jackson, approached with the daily reports. "Admiral, we have 17 new diplomatic requests today. The hegemony of Klarthos wants to establish trade relations, and the Void Hunters are asking for another meeting about military cooperation." Sarah took the reports and smiled slightly. The Void Hunters had been the most surprised of all the alien civilizations. For centuries, they had been the galaxy's dominant military power, conquering systems and demanding tribute from weaker species. The discovery that humans could probably destroy their entire fleet with a single ship had been a humbling experience for them. "What about the Galactic Council's formal offer?" she asked. "Still pending," Jackson replied. "They want to offer us full membership with permanent seats on the High Council and military command authority over their defense forces." Sarah looked out at the alien ships surrounding her vessel. The offer was generous, probably more generous than any species had ever received. Full membership in the Galactic Council would give humanity access to thousands of years of accumulated knowledge, trade relationships with hundreds of civilizations, and a voice in governing a significant portion of the galaxy. There was just one problem. Humanity was not interested in joining someone else's organization. "Send the standard reply," Sarah said. "We appreciate their offer, but we are still evaluating our options." The truth was that humanity had already made its decision. While the Galactic Council had been debating how to welcome humans into their civilization, human fleets had been expanding into unexplored regions of space. New colonies were being established, new shipyards were being built, and the human empire was growing larger every day. A communication alert chimed, and Admiral Sarah accepted the incoming message. High Counselor Thranduil appeared on her screen looking tired and frustrated. "Admiral Chen," he said in his formal diplomatic voice, "I hope you are well. I wanted to speak with you about the recent activities in the Outer Rim territories." Sarah kept her expression neutral. The Outer Rim was an area of space that the Galactic Council considered to be unclaimed territory, perfect for colonization by species who needed more room to grow. Unfortunately, human expansion fleets had claimed most of it in the past month. "What activities are you referring to, High Counselor?" she asked politely. "Our scouts report that human colonies have been established in over 30 systems that we had designated for future development by Council member species," Thranduil replied. "This is causing considerable concern among our members." "I understand their concern," Sarah said. "However, those systems were unclaimed when our colonists arrived. We followed all standard procedures for establishing new settlements in empty space." Thranduil rubbed his temples with two of his hands. This was an argument they had been having for months. Technically, humans were correct that the systems had been unclaimed, but the Galactic Council had an informal understanding about how expansion was supposed to work. Slowly, carefully, and with lots of discussion between all the interested parties. Humans apparently did not believe in informal understandings. "Admiral," Thranduil said, "your people are expanding at a rate that is unprecedented in galactic history. At your current pace, human territory will be larger than the entire Galactic Council within 5 years." "Is that a problem?" Sarah asked. The question caught the High Counselor off guard. In his thousands of years of diplomatic experience, no one had ever asked him if rapid expansion was a problem. It was simply assumed that civilized species expanded slowly and cooperatively. "It is unusual," he said finally. "High Counselor," Sarah said, "humanity appreciates the Council's efforts to include us in galactic civilization, but we have our own plans for expansion and development. We do not require permission to settle in unclaimed space." After the communication ended, Sarah walked to the tactical center of her ship. The walls were covered with displays showing the current state of human expansion. Red dots marked human colonies and military bases, while blue lines showed the patrol routes of human fleets. Commander Torres looked up from his workstation. "Admiral, The latest reports from the exploration fleets show another 12 suitable systems for colonization. The engineering corps believes they can establish permanent settlements within 6 months. Sarah nodded. Human expansion was accelerating, not slowing down. Every month brought new colonies, new shipyards, and new opportunities for growth. The galaxy was vast, and humanity intended to claim their fair share of it. "Any signs of alien opposition?" she asked. "None so far," Torres replied. "Most species seem to be avoiding the areas where our fleets are operating. The few contacts we have been peaceful." Sarah was not surprised. Word had spread throughout the galaxy about human military capabilities. Most alien civilizations were choosing to avoid conflict, rather than risk a war they could not win. A new alert appeared on the tactical display. Sarah looked at it and felt a moment of satisfaction. The latest intelligence report showed that 3 minor alien civilizations had formally requested human protection from more aggressive neighbors. In exchange for military guarantees, they were offering trade agreements and basing rights for human ships. It was exactly what Sarah had expected would happen. The galaxy was full of small, peaceful species who had been bullied by larger, more aggressive civilizations for centuries. Now that humanity had demonstrated superior military power, these species were looking for new protectors. Within a year, Sarah estimated that humanity would have formal alliances with dozens of alien civilizations. Within 5 years, human military power would be the dominant force in this entire region of the galaxy. And within 10 years, the Galactic Council would probably be asking humanity for permission to expand into new territories. Commander Jackson approached with another report. "Admiral, we have received a message from Earth Command. The first of the new World Breaker-class ships will be completed next month. They are asking where you want it deployed." Sarah looked out at the alien ships, still gathering around the Indomitable. The World Breaker-class ships were over 100 kilometers long and carried enough firepower to destroy entire star systems. When the aliens saw one of those ships, they would understand that humanity's expansion was not something that could be stopped by diplomacy or threats. "Tell Earth Command to send it to the Outer Rim," she said. "It is time to let the galaxy know that humanity is here to stay." As the alien diplomatic ships continued their daily visits to the human embassy, their crews reported back to their governments about what they had seen. They spoke of humans who seemed confident beyond reason, who built ships like mobile cities, and who looked at the galaxy as something to be claimed rather than shared. The galaxy had indeed been left speechless by humanity's arrival. But now, as human fleets continued their expansion into the darkness between the stars, the aliens were beginning to understand that their speechlessness was not temporary amazement. It was the first sign of a new age, an age where humanity would write the rules that everyone else would have to follow.